Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another crazy cool figure from Lulu's Customs in Classics, and this one is extremely unique. So previously he had made a Scorpius Rex, a few different versions of the Scorpius Rex. He also had created a very cool Ultimasaurus and juvenile Ultimasaurus. Now, if you can't tell at this point, he's kind of making a lot of stuff that's a little out of the ordinary for what you usually see for Jurassic figures, and now he's gone ahead and created something that's somehow maybe even cooler than all of that stuff, because this is basically the Spinosaurus for the canceled Jurassic Park 4 project. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the first JP4 script, but he has told me that in that script there were like mutated dinosaurs, like kind of like kaiju type dinosaurs, and one of which was a mutated sort of a Spinosaurus. And he actually had shown me this image, which was drawn by Tim Bradley of, you know, what could have been for the film, and that's basically what he's created here with this version of the Spinosaurus. He went and created the, you know, kind of mutant version of a Spinosaurus, and honestly, that's something that until he had, you know, shown this stuff to me, I had never even heard of it, actually. So it was straight away very cool. And when it comes to his image that he had shown me from Tim Bradley, he absolutely knocked it out of the park when it comes to the sculpt. This looks pretty much exactly like what we had seen on that image. And of course, he's given it his own type of a paint job here, where it definitely resembles the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, but obviously has been, you know, enhanced a little bit, upgraded a little bit, I guess, from that, and of course the appearance in general for the figure. But before I even get to the review of this, which I'm extremely excited about, I want to say thank you so much to my good friend Lulu, because he actually had sent me quite a few things with this, because he knew my birthday had just happened recently, and he gave me some birthday gifts. And the very first thing was a card, and you can see happy birthday, and what better card to get than a card with a Carnotaurus. And what's actually really neat is I have a model of a Carnotaurus that I acquired from AliExpress, which I've been meaning to review for quite some time, but it looks extremely similar to this. So I think this image here, this artwork, is actually where they got the idea for that model. But you can see, of course, the card. But on top of that, he also sent me this, which is actually one of those really cool dinosaurs that I had repainted a while back from Walmart, and he clearly gave this one a repaint as well. Very similar style to a Jurassic Park 3 sort of Spinosaurus. He gave it a very nice paint scheme. And if this wasn't enough, he actually gave me another gift, which is a Mattel Basic Spinosaurus repainted. So clearly our love for Spinosaurus is pretty obvious. And on top of all of these, actually, there's another version of the Spinosaurus that he created that he's going to be selling, which I have here as well to review very soon. But this one I really like. Like, when I had first opened it, I was super impressed. Let me readjust the camera. Super impressed with his paintwork. There we go. That's probably good enough. But I think the paint apps that he has given to this one look really nice. Definitely, I think one of my favorite paint jobs I've seen from him so far, which he always has really nice paint apps. But this one, there's just something about this one that I really quite like. But if that wasn't enough, and here's the most amazing thing I think of all, this is definitely going to need to be readjusted this time. He sent me something that I have been wanting to get my hands on for years. Since I was very young, we've got ourselves a Chaos Effect Thrasher Tyrannosaurus Rex, and look at this. You want to talk about one of the most incredible gifts ever. Like, does it get cooler than that? I really don't think so, because this is an extremely sought-after, extremely expensive figure, which is why I've never actually been able to add one to my collection. Every time I see one pop up for even a slightly reasonable price, it's gone so quickly, so I've never had the chance to get one in my collection, and he knew that I didn't have them, and of course he now hooked me up with one of the two. I just need to get my hands on the male Rex now, which is equally as expensive as this one, but this is definitely one amazing gift. So as I said, I cannot thank Lulu enough for his incredible kindness, his incredible friendship, and, you know, gifting me something like this. Like, that takes a true friend and a truly kind individual to do something like that. So thank you so much to my good friend Lulu. But now we'll get these other guys out of here so we can get back on track here. I also wanted to show you guys that he has cards now that he is creating. This is obviously the card for this Spinosaurus, and I love this thing down here that says Godzilla Who, but he's now adding cards for his figures as well. Very nice, very high quality shine to them and everything, and you can see some information here on the back, which I think is pretty fun as well. And again, just a really nice card to go with a super, super cool, extremely unique looking Spinosaurus. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this, and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the obvious Jurassic Park 3 sort of look and influence to this one. If this were going to be a Jurassic Park 4 film, you would expect the Spinosaurus to kind of, you know, have similarities to what you see in Jurassic Park 3, but obviously in a very strange, mutated kind of a way. You can definitely see that with this one. Obviously, the jaw looks super weird. You've got this really long upper jaw, much shorter lower jaw. I really do like the design that they came up with for this. I think it's extremely cool, very unique looking, and as I said, Lulu really captured the likeness. From what I saw in that artwork compared to this figure, like, it is spot on. You can see the model is sculpted with its mouth in an open position. You can also see the eye right there. He's really nicely applied some variation of color with some greens and even like a light green there, and then a black pupil. Nice kind of creasing there in the eye socket area. He has some nice fine skin texture as you move up through the course of the head. You can see the nostrils right there. You even have like a small crest up here on the top of the Spinosaurus. Obviously, as I said, the mouth is sculpted in an open position. You can see the teeth are all sculpted individually on the figure. They're all painted with kind of like a yellowish tone, which I think is a nice touch because it adds a nice dose of realism. Not, you know, pearly whites. You can see some light tones for the inside of the mouth as well. The tongue is sculpted in there on top of everything, and obviously again the coloration is very reminiscent to the Jurassic Park 3 Spino with some very obvious differences as well. As you move back here, you've got some osteoderms that move down through the course of the neck, kind of one row that follows along the spinal column and then a row on each side of that row. You can see more of the reds and whites as you move down. The white kind of extends and follows down through the course of the body. You can even see some variations of browns and stuff here in the neck. You've got lighter tones moving along the underside. You see like some wrinkling there in the skin, and definitely a lot more wrinkling right here in the back of the neck as you lead down into the body before we lead up into the sail area of the Spinosaurus. I think that the skin texture of this one is very cool looking as well because it has a very strong kind of like a crocodilian sort of a feel, but at the same time just makes me feel like this dinosaur and the skin on it would be like rock solid, like almost an armored sort of a look to the skin texture of this one. You can see a few different variations of color here in the stomach region as well as some extraordinarily large scales. You've got like variations of browns, maybe even like some grayish tones in there. A few kind of osteoderms here as you lead down into the arm. As you lead down, you can see the muscle definition in the arm as well, but as you lead down into the hands, you've got some scoots running down the fingers. Very nice sharp nails, obviously painted with a nice glossy black, giving that dinosaur quite the menacing look. As you move back up here, you've got more of those kind of armored sort of like osteoderm-like scoots here moving along. You can see them kind of leading down from the spikes that lead up out of the top of the sail of the Spinosaurus, but you can also see more as you lead along here, painted again with a black. And in the sail itself, you can see kind of like a lighter reddish tone that follows along the top, and then a yellowish tone in the center. And we now have this white that sort of like zigzags through the body of the Spinosaurus. Again, obvious Jurassic Park 3 influences that he's taken when it comes to the coloration of this, but added his own personal touch. I don't know that there has ever actually been like a colored image of this dinosaur, but as I said, I don't know a whole lot about it. Like, this is the first time that I've ever actually heard of it, but it just looks so crazy cool. And the spikes moving along, you can see, look epic as well. I love how they look just like very kind of jagged and bumpy as you lead out, not like perfectly formed or anything. They just help to give this, again, that kind of like grungy sort of look and feel for a hybrid like this, or not even a hybrid, a mutant, I should say. As you move down into the legs, into the thigh, you can see more of those kind of armored type scoots. You can also see the white kind of leads in from the back and from the front, which is actually kind of reminiscent to the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. It's just a bit more obvious on this version, which I think the colors on this look super cool. And then you'll lead down. You can also, of course, see the muscle definition. You've got the knee in the front of the leg, and then you lead down into those feet, and you can see the toes again have the scoots. Very cool looking toes on this one. You often see dinosaurs have like the very bird-like feet, and although I can definitely see the bird-like resemblance here, they're also very unique looking, especially when it comes to how far the toes are sort of spread apart and everything. You can see the nails are painted with, again, a nice glossy black. We have the dew claws there on the side of the leg as well. And then you lead up here into the tail. As you lead out, you've got more of those kind of like osteoderms and ridges and stuff. As you lead out through the length of the tail, you start to see that white stripe diminish as you lead out, and then out here you basically just have the red, the brown, and the white for the underside as the tail leads out with a nice slight curve in a downward position, an ever so slight curve. As you lead over here to the opposing side, you're going to see mostly the same thing as the dinosaurs, mostly walking just basically straight forward. You can see the head sculpt looks crazy cool. As you lead down, you're not going to see much in the way of a difference between the appearance of the neck on this side compared to the other side. Both arms are held in pretty much the same position as well. The only true difference that you're going to see, I think, on this side compared to the initial side is the fact that this leg is stepping forward, so it's leading, whereas the opposing leg is definitely trailing. That's the only main difference, because as you lead out, you can see the tail just curves basically back down like it did on the initial side. So when it comes to a unique looking dinosaur in the Jurassic franchise I've never seen before, it doesn't get much cooler than this. You can also see that the figure balances really nicely. Lulu is very good at the balance of his figures. They consistently stand beautifully for me. Another thing I'm not positive on actually about this figure is the size of the final product, because a lot of the time when I get these figures from him, I often get like the early prototype versions, so I have a chance to look at them, early and kind of show them off to you guys and stuff, but the actual final product often is a little different in size compared to what mine is, and considering this is kind of like a mutant Spinosaurus, I wouldn't be surprised to know that the size is going to be a bit different for the final product. But as far as the size of my particular version right now, you were looking at about 11.5 inches, or around the 29 centimeter, maybe actually a little bit over 29 centimeters, heading toward 29.5 actually. And the highest point would be the spikes on the back, which are just shy, I would say, maybe not even just shy of 5 inches, maybe a little over 4 3/4 inches, or about 12.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Lulu's Customs and Classics JP4 Mutant Spinosaurus. And you can see again, it's pretty close to the size that we had seen with, I would say, the juvenile Ultimasaurus. I think it's kind of similar in size to that. Obviously a bit larger than your standard sort of Attack Pack size range dinosaur for Mattel, but definitely smaller than Mr. Papo T-Rex. But for another comparison, then we've got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus next to the Spino, just to give us another idea of the size. Obviously a little bit bigger than you see for, a Mattel Raptor or Dilophosaurus. And clearly I was pretty wrong when it comes to my assumption that the Spino was similar in size to the juvenile Ultimasaurus. As we can see, the juvenile Ultimasaurus is definitely a bit smaller. But for one final comparison, and a pretty good one here, I think we've got the Lulu's Customs and Classics Scorpius Rex, one of the Jurassic World Evolution paint variants, next to the Spino. And you can see these two figures are definitely very similar in size. So this Jurassic Park 4 kind of like, mutant kaiju Spinosaurus is actually really cool. Again, I think Lulu always does a great job on his models, but specifically I've been really loving his stuff that he comes up with because it's so unique. Like sculpt-wise, paint-wise, I think his stuff is always fantastic, but one of the most impressive aspects about the models coming into them is the fact that he chooses such unique dinosaurs and stuff to create. Again, like the Scorpius Rex, I think is probably one of the coolest hybrids in the history of the Jurassic franchise. We also have the Ultimasaurus, which is probably the single most iconic hybrid. And then you also now have this, which is a mutant version of a JP4 Spinosaurus. And again, it's something that I personally had never seen before. I really don't know too much about it, but I think the idea behind this is just something that's so cool because it's not something I've ever seen anybody else make before. So again, that really helps to make Lulu's Customs and Classics stand out, I think. But again, he's done a really good job on this. Again, sculpt-wise, like I said, it looks exactly, in my opinion, like the artwork we had seen earlier. It really does capture everything that you see in that artwork, and obviously gives this a Spinosaurus look, but a mutant version for sure. And again, he's captured not only that mutant spinal look in a really cool, very exaggerated kind of a way, he's also captured the JP3 feel to it, because again, if it is a Jurassic Park Spinosaurus that is now kind of mutated, you would expect it to have some similarities to what we see on a Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park, and he's absolutely captured that on this, not just in the sculpt, but also in the paintwork. Again, the paintwork is really well done, giving this a very unique look for sure, which I think overall I've said unique quite a few times in this review, because this certainly is one of the most unique models I think I've had the pleasure of looking at here on the channel. But again, his paintwork is really well done, capturing the likeness of the JP3 Spino, but giving it a very different sort of, you know, a little bit more of an exaggerated look with a little bit more color to it and a bit more flashiness. And again, he's done a great job of applying all sorts of variation of color through the course of the model, you know, not just giving it like basic solid tones of color. You can see that he's given it quite a bit of different paintwork to get it to where it is, and he's also added bits of realism like gloss coats and stuff like that to like the eyes and the nails and all of that stuff. So overall, this is an awesome release if you ask me, and definitely one that I recommend picking up. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, I don't think they're available quite yet, but they will be very soon. This is another of those models that it's kind of currently in the process of being made, but if you head on over to Lulu's eBay store, which I will include a link to in the description, he does currently have some Scorpius Rex, some custom painted versions which are different from mine and very cool looking, and also some juvenile Ultimasaurus. So if you'd like to grab some of those, head to the link in the description, go check out his eBay store. Of course, follow his eBay store, and then when these Spinos go up, you can grab yourself one of those. So make sure you do all of that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.